Today I want to do a video on how to take an in-game bush trip and create your own free flight from it. If you want to see how to use Flightplan in a bush trip while actually flying the bush trip using the cockpit map feature, see our videos in our how-to section. This one we're going to just open up a bush trip and create our own flight from it. Maybe we want to combine several legs, or maybe I just want to fly a small section of the bush trip. Or maybe I don't want to fly the whole Yosemite bush trip. I just want to fly the last leg and see Yosemite, which I highly recommend. That's a good flight. Your bush trips will be in a different directory than mine. It's your install directory where it's putting your content. And then once you're in the One Store folder under the official, here's all the content. In the standard edition, you'll have the Asobo bush trips, you'll have the Microsoft bush trips. And we'll just pick California. So once you've opened up your bush trip, go under Missions, Microsoft, Bush Trips, California. There's only one way to go. Let's get some more screen real estate. So you can see we've got the entire bush trip listed here in our grid. This is every waypoint on the bush trip. Just to talk about the grid a little bit, it gives you your waypoint and your name or your description, your distance from the previous waypoint in nautical miles, selected altitude based on the flight plan, and the global position, latitude and longitude. Now, let's say I don't want this whole bush trip. I just want to fly one leg of it. First thing I want to do is save my own copy of it. You don't want to save over the top of the in-game bush trip. We're going to save the whole bush trip as California, and then what you might want to do is chop it up into smaller pieces. Maybe I want to create one leg that goes from Catalina all the way to Baker. I can just take out my two airports and just fly all those waypoints, or rearrange them, or whatever you want to do. I'll show you how to do that on one leg. Let's just keep this first leg. Guess y'all can't see my keyboard, so I should tell you I'm hitting the shift key, or I should have hit the shift key. I actually hit the wrong key. But if you hold the shift key and select multiple rows, you can just delete them all at once. And now I have one leg, just the first leg of the California bush trip. Now, if I save this as another file, let's say we call this one LA, it's not hard to spell. We'll still have the California flight plan with the entire bush trip. So if we want to come back and grab another little chunk of it and fly that on a different day, we'll still have that whole flight plan. Okay, so let's take our LA leg and let's give it a name. And I don't want to fly, nothing against the Grand Caravan, it's lovely, but I don't want to fly a minivan to sightsee. I'll just pick the DA40 as that wide unobstructed view. Let's take a look at adding some waypoints to our flight. There's lots of interesting places in LA. So here's La Brea. Let's look at the La Brea tar pits. So there's the La Brea tar pits. Oops, I lost them. There they go. And let's switch to satellite, see if there's really anything to see. And sure, there's some interesting buildings and the pit itself, I suppose. So let's take a look. So we'll drop a pin and we can give it a name. In fact, we have to give it a name. And we need to tell it which waypoint it's going to get inserted after. Now, I still had Catalina selected in my grid when I dropped my pin on the map. So Flightplan thinks I want to add a point there, but I don't actually. I want to go after downtown or before downtown. Let's go before downtown. So now let's zoom in. Okay, so we've dropped a pin. That's too tight. So we've dropped a pin on the La Brea tar pits after Torrance was my waypoint and before downtown Los Angeles. So let's see if there's some other things. I want to see if something's interesting. I can always take Peggy here and drop him on the map. I bet we can spot this fountain from the air. So let's drop another pin. Actually, let's move one. I don't want to go to downtown, because if we go over here, it's going to be a lot of zigzagging around just to see downtown Los Angeles. We'll be able to see downtown from this entire flight. So let's just take this one, drop it on top of Greystone Mansion, and change its name. Oh, there's the Hollywood sign. Oh, and Hollywood Bowl. Let's say we want to zoom in. I assume we'll be able to see that. Oh yeah, that should be easy to spot. So, and let's make sure. Yeah, so we're gonna fly. Oops, I forgot to name one of them. We're gonna go to the La Brea Tar Pits, then Greystone Mansion, then Griffith Park. So I want this one after Greystone Mansion. Now, if I had chosen the wrong ones, I can rearrange this trip. So let's say I want to go Greystone Mansion first, then hit La Brea, then hit Hollywood Bowl. I can take Greystone. Notice when I click the pin, it selects it in my grid, and I can move it up in the flight plan. So now I'm coming straight from Torrance to Greystone to La Brea to the Hollywood Bowl to Griffith Park, and check out the Hollywood sign on my way by. And we'll just leave it like that. We want to check our beginning airport, especially from a bush trip. Zoom in. Let's take a look at our runway number. Runway 4. Let's put our push pin back here. So we're going to move to that position. Yes, please. All right, it's going to warn me an extra time because it's an airport. It's, hey, are you sure you want to move that? That's an airport. And then, do I want my aircraft placed at this position? Yes. Okay, so we'll just double check. Runway number 4 was already selected. We're good to go. It's got us at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is fine. We're on flight runway, which is fine. These should all be preset for you, and there are other videos that talk about these settings, but the important things to check coming out of a bush trip is make sure your flight states, flight runway, and make sure that you've placed your aircraft somewhere reasonable on the airport. Probably the other thing we should check, although I suspect we'll have fuel, is we should double check our fuel tanks. And yes, we have fuel. And we have too many tanks because I changed the aircraft, but that's okay. The wing tanks are all we need. I've been talking and not fixing my flight plan. So we went from Greystone to La Brea to Hollywood Bowl. I can go through and rename my waypoints. One reason for doing that, though, is the longer they get, the less they fit on the glass cockpits. And also, obviously, it's handy just by looking at the number. If you've kept them sequential, it's handy to be able to just look at the number and know kind of where you are in the flight plan at a glance. All right, so let me save it. And then, as always, we'll just go into World Map and load it. And now we've spawned on the runway. Our glass cockpit has been loaded with our flight plan, including our new waypoints and all the waypoints that already existed in the bush trip flight plan. Again, if you want to see how to use Flightplan to actually fly the in-game bush trips, see our other videos in the how-to section. Thanks for watching, and if you would please like and subscribe.